Righto, Illabo Level 2, there's the start. Come in a short distance and there's a winze, which seems recently collapsed. Back in the day that wasn't open up to the surface, which it is now. Right, and this winze goes down there into a bat cave. The widowmakers hanging off the side here. So that's where they were going, but it doesn't look that good. Anyway, we're going to check out the tunnel more than the bats aren't that happy about the intrusion. Get out of here. Come on. Settle down. They're not going to settle, are they? Give it away. So, I've got to get out. Oh, fuck off. I'm going to wind the string back in again. So these bats are somewhat intimidating. There's the 30-metre mark, and there's the end. A lot of these timbers, which I think might have been to do with the rails. And then this is just a blind adit. Not very exciting at all. So 35 metres. Go back out. Winding up my tape measure as we go. $20 metres. $10 metres. Winds at 5 metres or something. So we might go and check this winds out a little bit with a hand out. a bit of falling in bits of rock here, which is of some concern. Now that goes up to the daylight up there. Now, straight outside that adit, is in there, is this tractor, the famous Illabo tractor, which is a Fordson. I did check out the serial number, I can't remember. Its details are there. Somebody's pulled the starter off it. It did have the big cast iron radiator and shroud and everything on it. Somebody's sampled that. But I've seen this running. It used to power a 5-head stamper down on the bottom platform. And it had no tyres on it then, it was just a stationary engine running the stamper via a leather flat belt off that flat belt pulley there. And so God knows why they anyone moved it to here. Because it would have been a big dead weight, although in the 80s, which I'll get the details later, they were reworking this mine and they had like an 18-20 tonne excavator, so that would have just brought it up without a problem, but why? Now let's go for a quick look up the top here at this opening that drops into the top of that winze in this second level shaft. Oh, at it. There's more of the zigzag tracks up the hill here. Okay, I'm lost. So this is the track. Might not be that apparent on the camera. And these rocks have come down from the top, probably from blasting the high level adit. And what have we found here? A hole in the ground. And a Jim Beam can. Gotta love these vines. And that looks like what we were looking up at. Everything's covered in lantana. I don't have the light up here now, but that's it. You can see how really this was not necessarily here until something gave way at a later date. A bit of conduit or something maybe. I don't think I've actually been on this here. Aside from that cave in, there's nothing to look at. Oh no, it's just a stick. It's a suspiciously flat rock. Look at that. There's the track again. How's that for a... Put that on the edge of your garden. Right up, turn off and heading back. Too hard. So there's the zigzag track. But a bit like zigzag footways. Everybody takes the shortcut through the middle. And that'll be a termite mound. Fixing termites in a house 500 metres from here, so know all about them. Glad I didn't bring me good bloody haversack. Back on the other jig with the zag. Down the shortcut path. With a handrail. Oh. And a bit of polypipe. It's 1880s polypipe there. So this is the top above the jaw crusher. This big hopper was here. It slid down the hill. So there's a big hopper here and then a wooden ramp down into there with all this chain wire fence to stop the rocks that fell off the side. But I never saw it running. This is back from 1978. It didn't look like it was that far from stopped in 1978, but it certainly hasn't run since. Rumours on the internet say that Fordson drove this, but if you have a look at this, it's set up to be driven off multiple V-belts with a pulley added to the side rather than the flat belt, and that's not what I saw. Not to say that prior to that something happened there, but why did they put the V-belt pulley on the side if they run that flat belt? And they had a good motive source of with a flat belt. So I've got lots of video of this. Here's more than 1880s polypipe there. And so here's the catcher fence and what's left of the chute and the hopper thing. It's getting closer and closer to the... See, this has been... seems to have been tacked on, although everything's made for it. And maybe it's not tacked on, maybe that's not actually a drive pulley, that's just a flywheel for weight. And there's a counterbalance, yeah, for the internals. And then you've got this Fenner, a drive belt manufacturer in Australia, or represented in Australia. But the guy from North Coast, Mid-North Coast Prospecting group in Facebook researched all of this, and he's got dates, and he went back to the factory and got some info and blah blah. You can see his bloody details there. I'll try and link it. But see this here, this sort of concrete work was done in the mid-70s, because I say that because the old guy that was working here on weekends in the late 70s had similar sort of concrete, just pylons, probably because he, was hand cutting the concrete in and mixing it on site and what have you, so he wasn't just bringing in tons of concrete, so it was just enough engineering. And so it's a bit hard to, but there's that is a shaker bed on the car springs there, which I saw running. So there's 4 springs on that. It's, don't know whether that's upside down or it's the top of it's gone. And so I reckon that the Fordson was in those trees there, pointing the way the camera's pointing, and it come back to a 5-head stamper here, which wasn't really, it's close by that, but nothing to do with it. And then a much bigger project happened in the 80s, which my father was employed by, and they made a big shed here. Not a shed, there's a big concrete slab under here, and I'll come back and clean it up, find the corners. And basically it was a shed, it was a shelter. It had posts really, I don't know, 20 feet high, and a roof, tin roof up there, 20 feet up in the sky. And underneath it there was all sorts of rock crushers and equipment, all more modern stuff. And they had a house from Nambucca, that was been pulled down, and they transported it up here on a truck and reassembled it over there. We'll get to the dates, 80 something. And just recently, like 2 days ago, when I was pumping it out, I come over here and thought,